So for the next part, we're going to be looking at dragging our parts in. We've got our basic setup for our mix working, but now what we're going to need to do is set up our actual tracks, where they're going to go, how we're going to group those tracks, and how we're going to get those playing through the session. So let's start with importing some sounds. Just like the last video, we're going to be concentrating on efficiency, so quick key commands. One good key command to be able to get audio into Pro Tools quickly is Shift, Command, and I. This is going to bring up your import audio menu. As you can see here, I've got a folder open, courtesy of Matt Jones, a track called Take You Down. We can see we've got a load of different stems in here. Now these stems, we have 64 individual sounds, and then we also have a reference track here, which again from the last video is important to bring into the session so we can obviously hear what the production session sounds like and what the additional demo mix sounds like, so we've got an idea or like a benchmark to work from. But it also means now that we've got a main out, which like our demo track can go straight to the main out. It doesn't need to go through any additional processing. So we're going to select every single track here. Let's go from the top. Let's hold down Shift and go to the bottom, and it will select them all. We're going to copy all, not just add them. So we're going to copy them to the session. This is very important if you're using Pro Tools. Add just basically adds them to the project you're working in. It doesn't actually copy them to the project folder. So we're going to copy all and press done. It's going to ask you where you want to put them, obviously the audio files folder for that project, and we're going to press OK. Let's just speed through this. Now once it's imported, it's going to ask you, do you want to add new tracks, or do you want to add these into the clip list, which is just over to the right here. This is completely up to you. Some people like to just have them straight into the track and arrange them from there, but Pro Tools does give you the option to just add them to the clips list. I'm going to add them straight to the track, and we're going to go from the session start. As you can see now, all the tracks are in, labelled from 1 all the way down to 64, and then we have the mix. But this is now where we can start to arrange what we have in the session, so deciding what is what. This is why it's a good idea sometimes to drag these into a clips list, so you can see more of the names closer together to then arrange what goes in what order. However, we can do this, but if you're not using Pro Tools, you don't sometimes get the option to do that. But we can do this in the DAW, in any DAW, exactly the same way, just by going through, reading what the names are, and then giving them a specific color, grouping them together, and then putting them into wherever they need to go. At the moment, the inputs of these tracks have been given instantly to whatever the audio interface is that you're using. So far, we don't want any of these to have any kind of recording possibility. So we're going to set all of these to no input. So again, from the last key commands video, Shift and Option, hold down no input, and then it will give all of these tracks that are highlighted no input whatsoever, which works good for us. All we need to worry about for these is where they're going, their output. So first of all, we've got kick high pass. While we're going through these tracks, it's a good idea to actually look and see what's in the tracks as well. So if we were to see a track that has no audio in there, it's a good place to start and just get rid of those things straight away. First of all, let's go through and try and find what the obvious names for certain groups are. So we're going to start with the drums. So we've got kick high pass, clap, open hat, another open hat. You can see here I'm holding down the command key just to select through and click through the things that make sense. Luckily, these have been labelled in a pretty good order. So all of the percussions so far, percussion 1, snares, they've all been labelled kind of in a really good order. So as I flow down, there's not many other tracks here that are drum. I mean, we've got another kick high pass, we've got a shaker here, but because of the way that this looks, these may have nothing in them. And we'll have a look back at this in a sec. We've got snare fill. That's good so far. So what we're going to do is grab this one. So we're going to grab one here. We're going to scroll down to the bottom of the session, and we're going to make sure that all of these are now together. So we should now have all of our drum tracks together with everything else left at the top. Here we can double click. I'm going to make all the drums red because our drum group went to red. I'm then going to make the output of all of these the drum bus. So Shift, Option, click, and let's pick this as drum bus. You'll see now all of these tracks will feed this drum bus. We can now come back to the top of the session, drag these up to the top, and know that now our drums are sorted. A new feature in Pro Tools, which has been around in other DAWs for quite some time, is the option to group these into a folder. So this is a great way, again, to work efficiently. And again, further on in the course, you'll understand why this is very important. So if I hold down Control and click, I can then go through here and then decide how I want these to look. So now I want these to be in a folder. So we can move these to New Folder. It's going to be a basic folder. We can pick a routing folder, but I'm just going to pick a basic folder because we've already set up our routing in the background. So the name of this is going to be called Drums. So now we've got a drop-down folder for all of our drums. Let's make this red. And now we can see all of our drums within this one folder. If we want to see them all, we can. If we don't, perfect. But then everything within this folder is now going to the drum bus. So at any point, I could mute this and all of my drums would now be muted. I can go down to my drum bus here, solo the drum bus if I want, or just mute the drum bus because all of our tracks will be going to there. And from there, they're going to feed our mixer A. Now we would do this for every single element within the track. So things like basses, all the bass parts, instrument 1, instrument 2, instrument 3, and so on.